You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
What's up, Coaches Nation? It's Dr. Sherry for another episode of the Coach's Journey podcast here with my co-host, Faisal Ensaun. And we are going to talk about today something that every single coach in the entire world will want to talk about. And that is, how do you actually land a high-ticket client, a high-paying client? You know, so maybe your last client was lower than you would like. And so we're going to talk about what are the three critical ingredients to actually landing and consistently landing a high-paying client. We're talking 25 grand or more, because if you were to think about how would $25,000 or $50,000 or more than that, how would that impact your life right now if you got that in your bank account today? How would that change your week and some of the stressors that you have in your life? It could be pretty significant. So we're going to talk about that today. You don't want to miss that. But before we jump into that, we have a masterclass coming up in less than a week that actually is a critical part of landing a high ticket client. So Faisal, do you want to share just briefly about that masterclass and how people can register for that before we dive into the meat and the nitty gritty of today?
Yes, for sure. We are really excited for this masterclass because we've been working on this in the background quite a bit, and we've actually gathered a lot of the data around what actually works out in sales in the coaching world. And in the discovery call strategy session, or the first major call that you have with your clients to demonstrate coaching, to make your offer, or to just demonstrate the coaching piece of it and support them and understand how you can support them. We've actually gathered data from several successful coaches within our community, and also models that are promoted outside, and brought the data together in one model to support you. So it's based on a lot of experience. We've taught this before, it's just refined a lot more now. We've been working on it in the background, so it'll give you a system, a framework that actually works to get high-ticket clients, upwards of $46,000, $50,000 clients that you can get out of this. So now you can also use that for clients you're going to charge $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 for a package as well, because the process is similar. It's just that it's based on a lot of the experiences and data. It's going to be on Monday, October 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join. If you haven't registered yet, type #delivery below, because it is on delivering sessions that sell. And if you're listening to this on the podcast outside somewhere, we've probably either already done this or we are going to do another version of this. So let us know. Some of you have let us know on YouTube channel, #delivery, and we've connected you on Facebook. If you're not connected to us on Facebook or somewhere, just let us, give us an email there, or just let us know. You can contact us in one of the channels below. It has to be a social media channel, because on YouTube we can't reach out to you. But yeah, we're excited to do that session. It'll be a 2-hour deep dive. We're going to go through exactly what we do at different timeframes in the session for a 2-hour discovery call. And you can adapt it to what you're doing and experiment with it, and you will gain a lot of results out of it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this because, as Faisal mentioned, this is a slightly refined version of the ones we've done in the past. And if you've gone to school and have done any sort of research, you know, my background is a psychologist. I had to learn how to do research. I had to learn how to do meta-analysis and do all these sorts of fancy things. This is like a meta-analysis for strategy sessions. We are taking the existing strategies at work and we're melding them into a kind of a unified strategy that takes into account all of these different nuances. And so I'm excited. I am so excited for this masterclass. So it's going to be good. You don't want to miss it. And again, if you actually do miss it, you do have an opportunity for the replay. So continue to reach out to us and we'll get it to you. All right. So today we're going to talk about, so what are those three kind of main ingredients for landing a high ticket client, a client that's willing to actually pay like $25,000 to work with you or more? So there's three main ingredients. We're going to unpack those ingredients for you today. The first one is about relationship. Faisal, do you want to start with that one?
Yes, and this would be my favorite part. It's actually the reason why I'm in the coaching business, because I actually want to build relationships with people. So if you don't like people, if you don't want to build relationships with people, if you're annoyed constantly by people, probably not the right business to be in, because you will be dealing with people a lot on a day-to-day basis, multiple times a day, going into different areas, with some going much deeper, with others not so much. And generally speaking, business is a people's world. But coaching business is even more intimate and goes much more deeper in there. So that's my favorite piece of it. So everything that you're going to do in the business world, also specifically in the coaching world, starts with a relationship. And that relationship occurs within the context of a network, within the container of a network. So you might start with a network that you're a part of. So, and that would be the biggest caveat. So a lot of the reasons why people can charge more is actually because of their network. They might have the similar skill set as you, but they might have access to a different network where they can charge. Not fully true, because you still need certain networks that you're a part of, you need a different set of skills to support them to move forward. But if you have a better network, for example, if the network that you're a part of, people can afford coaching better, you will have an easier time selling coaching, higher ticket coaching packages, versus a network where there are people who might not be able to afford it. So that's something to keep in mind. So it starts with building a relationship with somebody within the context of a network. This is one of the reasons why we tell coaches to go talk to a lot of people, support a lot of people, because every time you talk to somebody, you're getting into a network of people. You never know who you will connect with in the process. So it starts with building a relationship, which means that you're building connection, trust with somebody. If you don't have trust, if you don't have connection, if you don't have credibility, it doesn't matter how great you are in what you do, people will not want to invest in your thing. It doesn't matter how great your system is. It doesn't matter how great it is, because that's just human nature. We need to trust somebody before we invest any kind of time, effort, energy, money, or anything else. So it starts with that.
And so when you think about relationships and think about the last maybe 10 strategy sessions you've had, think about those people that you had those strategy sessions with in terms of temperature. This is common to think about in sales. When you have a potential lead, a potential client, are they hot? Are they warm? Or are they cold? And we're not talking about their blood type or, they're not amphibians. We're talking about how much do they know, like, and trust you, as Faisal was talking about. And so if they really don't know you, now, so as example, Faisal has been doing this add-on strategy to his clients or to his lead flow in doing reach outs in LinkedIn. And these are reach outs to people that probably have never heard of him. He's not really heard of them, but he's identifying them as a potential good fit for a client, and he's reaching out and he's starting to build a conversation. And so some of the clients that you might be jumping on a strategy session with that have accidentally come into your world, or maybe you accidentally ran into them, but they don't really know you. They don't really know what you do. They don't know people that know you. Those are cold leads. And those are typically the hardest ones to convert when they're cold. So if you think about it in the context of a relationship, you want to warm them up. You want them to get to know you. And through the getting to know you and experiencing your coaching and what you're about and your philosophy and how you interact and your personality and all these things, they get to warm up. And that's where they are much more likely to be able to kind of raise their hand and say, okay, yeah, I'm willing to be a client. The warm clients or the hot clients are the ones that already are in your network, as Faisal was talking about. So that is the easiest or the simplest, maybe that's not the right word, but when you think about your potential clients, those are the ones that are kind of the low hanging fruit, the ones that they already know you. And especially if you can get a referral, from somebody that is a client or was a client, and they're like, they vet you for you. So like, you don't have to try to convince the other person that you can help them, but somebody else already did. That's like moves them from warm to hot, probably. So these are all things to think about in the context of relationship. The more warm, the more experience, the more trust they have in you, the warmer or hot they are as a client, and the more likely they are willing to kind of put their credit card in or give you money for the impact that you can do.
Yeah. And so a couple of things to understand there, and I want to stress on one of the points that I made before, is that a lot of coaches that I've met, especially if they're starting out or they're in beginning stages, they might be really good coaches, but they're in the wrong network. They're going after clients who probably need therapy. They probably need a different kind of support. They're probably not in a space where they're even ready psychologically for something like coaching, because coaching is much more forward driven. It's much more action oriented. It's much more challenge oriented. They might be just in the processing stage of their life. They might not be in the self-actualizing stage of their life. And so they're kind of doing that. You can still support people at that level, but they're not ready for what you think they're ready. And also financially, they're not ready. So it seems much more difficult. So if you're a coach who's doing that, and I know I'd say 8 out of 10 coaches that I've talked to, they are in those kind of networks. And initially, even your own network might be like that. So watch out for that. And it feels difficult. That's normal. That's why you need to do enough networking to get connected to better networks, so you can actually support them. And then the cold, warm, hot leads are very important. So for example, even the cold leads, I didn't realize how amazing that is, because I'm having fun with it now. It's become more of a game for me. It's like, how can I refine these conversations better? So I have an automation going on LinkedIn, which reaches out to people. It's like a campaign. It'll send one message. If they don't respond 2 days later, it'll send another message. And out of all the hundreds of people, you reach out to a few will respond. Out of a few that respond, only a few will book a call with you. So I've had 6 calls so far, all intro calls. One of them has translated into a strategy session that actually finished yesterday, and he's interested in learning more about the program, which I never thought this would go in this direction. I hadn't done enough cold calls in the past, but this was interesting. And then another one I met yesterday, and this was very interesting. We talk about credibility and like, know and trust. I didn't know the guy at all. And one of the things I started doing because I know a few people in the industry, people who are prominent influencers. And I'll say that, hey, and they'll be like, okay, what do you do? Like, well, I got involved in coaching. Do you know this person that I got involved with them? And then I will just mention a few influencers that I've been involved with and I've supported them. And I just went through like 5 different people that are prominent that I mentioned it. I'm like, this is the kind of coaching that I do. Do you know anybody that would want my services in your network? And the do you know part I got from Alex Hormozy. I really like that strategy. So I didn't tell him, like, do you want to be part of my coaching? He's like, do you know anybody who would want? Because we're just networking at that point. And he paused. He's like, you know what? We do these calls where we do like underwriting every week. We have 100 or so people showing up. It kind of surprised me too. So I think it would be really cool for you to jump on and just do a call and make an offer. And this is the first time somebody has said it. I mean, I'm like, he's like, do you do any kind of affiliate stuff? I'm like, yeah, well, it depends what level. If you help me make the offer right there on the call, you would get, let's say, 20-something% out of that. But if I just take that client and I take them through my sales cycle, then you will get 10%, because it requires a little bit more effort. Like, what are your thoughts about it? He's like, well, I would want to get my team involved, but if we can put together something where 100 or so people come in and you make your offer, and this will serve our community. But this just came from a guy that I just met. Now, I don't know where this is going to go. And he said that I want to get on a call with my team to see if we can make this happen. But that was a surprise for me. And
That's
so
awesome.
out of 6 calls, one person has actually already moved through my sales cycle. The other person wants me to connect with their whole network. And there's one other person who's gotten a lot of value. I'm in conversation with them. This is only about 6 calls that I've done. And that's a cold lead in a network. So now when you go to warmly, especially as you start to work with people, and that's how it works in the background. Somebody will be one of your clients or somebody you've supported a couple of times. Hey, I had this call with somebody, it really completely changed my perspective. I started moving forward. Or somebody might be sharing a challenge like, hey, I'm working with somebody who's helped me in this area. I think they will be able to support you. Usually people if they care about the people around them, they're looking for ways to support them, and they don't have the skill sets to support them in different ways.
Yeah.
In fact, most people are frustrated by the fact that they can't support people around them. So they're looking for people to connect them with. And so you would be the one on their mind, and they will refer you to them. And that usually has a higher conversion rate because you already have borrowed trust with them. And so this is why it's so important for you to keep doing these calls and serving people. Even if they don't sign up with you, they will think of you because you've supported them on that one session.
Which brings us to the second main ingredient of landing a truly high ticket client, and that is your follow-up and your nurturing plan. Because a lot of times, whether they're low ticket or a high ticket, they're not always going to say yes the first time. They're going to say no, not now, maybe. They're going to be on the fence. They're going to have objections. So what is your follow-through plan for how to continue to nurture them? Because you could say, okay, and then check them off your list and never talk to them again. But you are never going to have a less expensive lead than somebody that you've already talked to. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back out there and try to find another person to try. Like, that's a lot more work than it is just to continue to nurture somebody that you've already started that path on. So what is that follow-up and nurturing going to look like? Because that's where a lot of coaches and just the sales industry in general fall off and don't have a great process for. And quite frankly, that's my issue. Like there have been some potential clients that I've not done a great job following up on, and they're popping into my mind right now. So I know, like, hold on, let me write their names down because this is critical.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through a whole quarter and I'm like, and then I get to a point where I'm like, you know what, I need to get more clients. So I will go through my list, like, and I'll look at all the people that are like, oh shit, I didn't respond to this person. Oh shit, I didn't follow up with this person. Or the good news for me is, and this will happen at some point on your journey, is that I set up some systems in there. So even if I miss those people, they are in my newsletter or they're getting a lot of value, even if I'm not aware of it. But I still believe in having like more customized relationship approach to things. So if I miss them, they're still getting value from me. But most coaches who are starting out, they don't have a lot of this stuff in place. So you will have to manually reach out to them consistently. They're not going through a funnel and cycle. Now, one of the things that we've talked about, and I don't want to contradict myself or us in the process, we've told coaches multiple times that when you get started, funnels are probably not the way to, because you do need to build funnels at some point. You need to build a sequence at some point. But initially, you're not even talking to enough people to have something like that. By the time you hit about 100 people or so, or 50 or 60, you'll find that you'll be getting a little bit stretched. So you need to send something in there to keep the nurturing cycle. But so initially, let's say you have an initial call with somebody, whether it's on a group call or one-on-one, then after that, you're getting them on a call where you're supporting them. And that piece is really important. And that's the next follow-up sequence in there is that, hey, if you have an initial call, invite them to a coaching call, support them. And that's where your ability to coach them will become critical. This is why we tell coaches that if you're not getting coached, if you're not building your skill sets, it doesn't matter how many people you're connected with, you will not be able to get clients, or not at the rate that you want to get clients, or at the quality of clients that you want to get. So your skill set in running that session will be crucial. Your skill set, so a bunch of stuff comes into that session. Your skill set generally as a coach, your ability to move sales conversations forward, your ability, you having a clear framework that actually helps clients move forward and not feel like you're confused and you don't know how to navigate it. That's actually why we're doing this masterclass on Monday coming up, is actually we're giving you the framework that has converted $50,000 plus clients, like one-on-one clients, into a coaching program. And it's based on a lot of experience and testing. Now you can take it as a guideline and test it for yourself. But if you don't have that, you're probably trying to just reinvent the wheel and trying to navigate your way around. You don't need to do that. So make sure you come to our masterclass. If you're not registered, type #delivery below so we can give you access to that. If you're listening to this outside on our podcast, let us know somewhere or reach out to us in one of our social media channels. We'd be happy to support you. And so once you have that call, the next step is whether on a follow-up call or on that call, you're making an offer. And this is the crucial part of it. If you're having 100 calls and you're making no offers, guess what? Your conversion rate is 0. You're not getting any clients.
It's 100% because if you don't make an offer, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's 100% with no money.
It's 100% of nothing. Do you want 100% of nothing, or do you want 20% of a lot? Like, make offers. Yes, you're going to get rejected. You're going to get no's. You're going to be challenged, but that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. That doesn't mean you suck. It does mean that you have an opportunity to improve. And that's going to happen the more offers that you give. You are going to get better.
Yeah, and Rich Littman calls that proposals. It's the same thing he actually gets you to track that. We get our clients to track that. Is like track the number of proposals that you make. So if your goal is to make $10,000 in monthly income from this, then you better be making proposals upwards of $30,000-$40,000 to people. Now that will depend on what your offer is. And this is why you need to do the math in there. We do that in our ends, like how many offers at that level do you need to make? Because you can assume that your conversion rate will be about 10% in the beginning. So if you need 10 clients, you need to talk to probably about 100 clients until you do it and you get the real data. And it might be more, might be 15%, or it might be lower, or it might be 20%. On average, 10% is a good assumption if you've not done sales. But so this means that you need to make proposals. Without making those proposals or offers, there is no coaching business. So assuming you're making those proposals, and on average, you'll have quite a few people will not sign up right away. Actually, more often than not, people don't sign up right away from. It takes anywhere from about a couple of days, a few days, to a week, to even a month. The last client that I signed up, it was a high ticket client. It was $46,000 package. Took about a month, and there were some mistakes I made in the process, but that could have been anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to a month. And that came from a warm direction, which means it came from a referral. I had a lot of trust and connection in that network. So it should have gone much better than I thought, but it took about a month, and it took follow-ups and understanding how we can move that forward. So what does follow-up look like? Well, if you're doing this manually, you're checking in with the client. I'm just checking in with you. Send value to them based on the things that they share. Because if you've done a discovery call, they've shared a lot of things with you. If you've done a long list, they've shared their goals, their challenges. You could literally make a video about every challenge and send it to them, or share somebody else's video. I don't care what you said. I'm sending in a value. Hey, I wanted to make sure that you're supported. That you mentioned that you will confirm the decision at this time. Right. A few days later, you send a message, and then a week later, you send a message. If you don't hear back, extend that a little bit. Maybe 3 months later, check in and support them. Get them on a call. Do your best to make sure they're supported. A lot of people are not ready right away to commit to something. It might take them a little bit of pushing in. A lot of actually sales is helping clients make a decision that supports them.
Yeah.
So if you don't have follow-up, then you likely don't have clients. This is what would happen in the past with me. I would get on a call, I would make the offer, the sales call went well, and then the client will say, I'll make a decision in a couple of days or the next day after I've dealt with the objections and everything. So now nothing. I send them the thing, nothing is happening. Then I'll send them another message. I'd love to get on a call, nothing. By the second attempt, I would give up. And I would take it personally in a lot of senses. Oh, maybe I don't want to be an annoyance to this person. Maybe this person doesn't need. That might not be the case. It might be the case that he's or she is incredibly busy. They have lots of things happening in their life. There might have been an emergency that happened. They just might have had some deadline or something that they're hitting, and they might be completely swamped for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months. If they don't hear from you, what they hear is that you don't care to support them. What you think is that you're annoyed by them. I mean, they're annoyed by you.
Yeah. Well, you are annoyed by them, but they're also, you think,
both sides.
Right. But what if rather you had the mindset of the reason that they're not responding is because of the exact issues that they shared with you, the exact challenges that they shared with you in their session. Maybe they're so overwhelmed that they didn't even see the emails because they have so many emails. Or maybe it's because they're so entrenched in this challenge at work or in their business or at home or in a relationship that they just they don't feel like they have the bandwidth for anything else. So maybe interpret it that way and then reach back out and say, hey, I realize you're probably so overwhelmed that, it's hard for you even to consider this. This is the exact reason why coaching would be so valuable right now because X, Y, Z or whatever. So how we interpret these potential rejections or, whatever, however it is that we're experiencing really can matter. And that will impact the follow-up and the nurturing process.
Yeah, for sure. And this, I want to wrap this up in this nice package. So imagine you're a coach, you connected with one or two people, and you take them through your cycle of 1, 2, or 3 calls you're having by the time you make the offer, and you're kind of crossing fingers that I hope they sign up for this $5,000 package too. That is not a good state to be in, to just talk to one person and that's the only potential, even 2 people. Ideally, you should be talking to multiple different people. In fact, I would say more people than you can handle. And this is a very normal, let's say more people, because one, you shouldn't be attached to when the client sign up.
Yeah.
And you should have somebody else to talk to so you don't get stuck in scarcity thinking that, there aren't enough people. I can tell you that there are an unlimited number of people. Yes, there are a limited number of people on Earth. There are about 8 billion people, but realistically speaking, you're not going to be able to reach out to even a fraction of that. If you really look at even if you're a specific niche you look at, there are too many people for you to reach out to. For the past let's say 5 years, for the past 5 years or so, I've had a specific niche, but if I were to look at all the people in the real estate investing world, there are too many people for me to reach. Even if I set up an automated system, even if I set up ads, it will be too many people for me to reach out to. And I will exhaust my systems before I can reach out to people. So there are more than enough people for you to talk to, for you to serve, for you to support, and for you to make your offer to. And usually coaches get stuck with this because they're only talking to 1 or 2 people or 1 or 2 organizations or people or whoever. And that by the time this kind of you go through that journey, it might take a few weeks, a month, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months. You get to the other end, they will both say likely no. And you're like, oh shit, I have to restart this again. But if you're always talking to people, like right now, I had sales calls. I'm looking at my calendar. I had 3 sales calls last week and 1 intro call. And then the next week, I'm following up with those. I had 2 intro calls this week. And I have 1 sales call, actually 2 sales calls this week. And I followed up with one of them. The other one is coming up on Friday. Every week I have sales calls coming up. So I want to support all these people, but the ones who move forward are the ones who are going to be part of my program, because I've set up my program in a way where I can take in more people so I can constantly talk to people. But it's a good thing for you to run out of space because that increases the demand, which means that you'll be forced to create a different version of that program. So if you're not talking to enough people, you're probably feeling like nothing is working. That's not true. You're just not talking to enough people.
Oh, I love that. So the 3 critical components, just to put a bow on the package that Faisal just created, is the relationship that matters. Think about, how can I warm up this person even more? How can I make sure that I've got a process that helps them be able to know, like, and trust me even more? That's a critical component. The second one is, what is your follow-up and nurturing process or sequence with them? Because chances are you're going to have a lot of people that aren't quite ready to pull the trigger on that first contact. So how can you continue to nurture them so they can know, like, and trust you even more over time? And thirdly, make sure that you have a good skill set around that strategy or discovery session or whatever you call it, and make the offer. Have confidence, borrow confidence from somewhere, but just do it a lot, because you are going to get better over time, and the confidence will come, and you are going to continue to improve your skill set. Now, if you want to intentionally spend time improving your skill set on that delivery, we have that masterclass coming up, or if it's already passed, you can go back and watch it. But getting that outside influence to improve and level up as a coach is critical, because in the same way that we are a coach because we recognize that other people get stuck in their brain and they don't have like that outside perspective to get them unstuck, you're no different than that as a coach. I'm no different to that as a coach. When I don't interact with other coaches like Faisal and the Coaching Mastery community, I get stuck in my own brain and my own limiting beliefs and thoughts and frustrations, and it's a downward spiral. So if you don't have that, come to the masterclass, get refreshed with some new ideas, and join the Coaching Mastery community Facebook group, because that's a great place full of fresh ideas, full of people who are doing amazing things and want to support each other in our growth.
Yeah, for sure. And just keep in mind that we have our free group. If you haven't joined our free group, you're listening to this on the podcast platform or YouTube, and you should see a link somewhere below in the information. If you can't find it, you can reach out to us. Our group has a lot of value. What our goal is to give you enough information, enough frameworks for you to actually get a few clients, because most coaches are struggling with that too. And then we have our pro programs where we actually help you in implementing the process and scaling your business, getting consistent clients, and then scaling your business to the next level. So we have the solution for you guys. And if you haven't had a conversation with us, or you're not in our Facebook group, haven't had a conversation, please reach out to us, or just type hashtag conversation. We'd be happy to reach out to you and connect with you. This is not supposed to be an easy process. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of feedback. It takes a lot to build a business. It's not about just getting a few clients here and there. It's about creating a system that gives you consistent clients, and also in the process growing into that person, into that leader, into that coach, into that business owner. And usually you need a support structure for that. For most coaches, that's not available. That's why we created a Coaching Mastery community. And we're so happy that you're part of the community. If you're not, please join us. And we're excited to see you on the masterclass on Monday. If you don't have access to that, let us know so we can give you the replay and join our community. Please share this with a coach that you know, somebody you care about, a friend, a colleague who might be struggling in their business, who might have plateaued in their business. There's so many of them, because they will be there unless something changes. They will probably sign up with a bunch of programs that don't do anything. Our program is very much focused on implementation, and we want to support you, take you to the next level, to serve more clients and actually build a profitable business in the process.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time, your attention, and your energy, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.